Hello and welcome back. This is part 4 of our 8-part mini-series, and today we're going to dive into a really cool concept called liquid information. We're going to completely reframe how you think about your senses and the reality they're actually creating for you.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a big provocative question. We all tend to trust our senses, right? We think they're these perfect windows looking out onto the world. But what if that's not what they do at all? What if they're actually building the world you experience? Let's dig in.
So in this first section, we're going to challenge that common everyday understanding of our senses. We're going to stop seeing them as passive receivers and start looking at them as active, powerful constructors of your world.
Now this slide really shows the huge paradigm shift we're talking about. The old view is super simple, right? Eyes see, ears hear. What you see is what you get. But this new view, the one from the liquid information framework, is way more dynamic. It suggests your senses are actually translators. They're taking all these external frequencies, like light and sound, and converting them into electrical signals your brain can make sense of. They aren't just showing you reality. They're literally building a version of it just for you. So here's the core idea, the liquid information framework. It basically proposes that everything, the light in your room, the music you're listening to, even the food you eat, it all gets converted into neural oscillations. In other words, brainwaves. And it's these internal signals that are directly shaping how you feel, how you focus, and even what you're capable of thinking at any given moment.
And this really gets to the heart of it. The big takeaway here is that your environment is constantly tuning your internal state, whether you're paying attention or not. Every little signal matters because it all gets mixed together to create the final picture of your reality.
Okay, so let's get practical and see how this actually works. We're going to start with light, which is probably one of the most powerful and most overlooked types of information we get. It's not just there so we can see, it's there to send signals.
I love this quote because it's just so direct. The kind of light you're in is sending a direct command to your nervous system. It's changing its baseline frequency, and it's influencing what kind of thoughts and feelings are going to come more easily to you in that moment.
All right, let's break this down. As you can see here, different wavelengths of light are carrying totally different instructions. You've got that short wavelength blue light, from our screens, that boosts alertness and helps with analytical focus. It's great for problem solving. Then in the middle, you've got green light, which is more calming and emotionally balancing, perfect for creative work. And finally, that long wavelength red or warm light, that's the signal for safety and relaxation, ideal for winding down at the end of the day.
And it's not just about the color of the light. The actual structure of what you're looking at is a huge deal. A cluttered desk, a chaotic website, that creates a ton of cognitive noise, and it forces your brain to work way harder. But a clean, structured environment, that actually helps your brain because it doesn't have to work so hard to predict what's coming next. You could say visual simplicity isn't just an aesthetic choice. It's a form of cognitive kindness to yourself.
Okay, next up is sound. If light is an instruction, you can think of sound as a modulator. And what's so wild about sound is its ability to just bypass our rational thinking and influence us on a much deeper, more immediate level than even our vision.
This is so incredibly true, isn't it? You don't get to decide if that jackhammer outside is going to affect your nervous system. It just does. Sound directly tunes your cognitive and emotional state, for better or for worse. And this chart here breaks it down beautifully. Rhythmic, predictable sounds, like some electronic music or binaural beats, can literally pull your brainwaves into a pattern and stabilize your attention. Then you've got more complex harmonic sounds, like classical music, that can support creativity. And then there's chaotic sound. Notifications, people talking over each other. That stuff actively fragments your attention and jacks up your stress levels.
All right, now for our third input, and honestly, this might be one of the most important reframes in this whole framework. Food. We really have to move beyond thinking of food as just fuel and start seeing it for what it is, complex biological information.
So the old view is just all about calories, right? Calories in, calories out. But the liquid information perspective, as you see here, is so much more sophisticated. It's not about the quantity of energy, it's about the quality of the information. Every single bite you take has micronutrients and mineral ratios and all these compounds that send very specific signals to your cells and, of course, to your brain.
And that's the bottom line. The quality of your thoughts, your mood, your ability to focus, it's directly tied to the chemical building blocks you give your brain through your diet. You are literally building your consciousness from your last meal. So what this means is we can get really strategic. This isn't about some rigid one-size-fits-all diet. It's about alignment. If you need a few hours of deep focus, then a meal that gives you stable blood glucose and some good amino acids is key. If you're trying to get into a creative flow, maybe you want lighter meals and great hydration. The whole goal is to match the informational input to your intended output.
Okay, so we've looked at light, sound, and food all by themselves, but this is where it all comes together. The real magic, the real power, happens when you start to align these inputs. That's when you get this incredible compounding effect.
So imagine you start by setting up your environment with the right lighting for what you need to do. Let's say some cool blue light to prime your brain for analysis.
And then you layer on a soundscape that supports that same mental state. Maybe it's some rhythmic electronic music that helps stabilize your attention.
And finally, you've eaten a meal that gives your brain the exact biochemical signals it needs to perform, keeping your blood sugar steady and your mind totally clear.
And what's the result? Effortless cognition. When all the information coming in is pointing in the same direction, your nervous system it stops fighting itself. That internal friction just vanishes, and high performance simply emerges on its own.
And that, right there, is the ultimate payoff. Instead of using willpower and just brute force to get through your day, you create an environment where being productive is the most natural, unavoidable outcome. So let's be super clear. This isn't about micromanaging every little variable or chasing some impossible idea of perfection. The core philosophy here is alignment over optimization. It's not about forcing an outcome. It's about removing the noise, supporting your body's natural coherence, and just letting your system do what it already evolved to do.
And we'll end on this powerful idea. It's a simple but really profound mantra to take away with you. If you consciously align the information in your environment, your mind will naturally follow. It will lead you to a state of greater focus, creativity, and well-being. The full framework, all the experiments, and the deeper extensions are detailed in the paper linked below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part of this series.